Doesn't matter whether you are doing a minimal work or hard work or whatever, you have to love what you do.
Use your organization as a vehicle that drives you through to achieve your professional and career goals.
It comes to a point where we need to find a balance of loyalty and then, change efficiency as well.
Finding your passion at work can make all the difference. When your company's mission and values resonate with your own, it creates a sense of purpose that fuels motivation and satisfaction. So let's dive in and explore how companies can create a culture that sparks creativity. My first question is to Denham. Many entrepreneurs are driven by strong values. How do you ensure that your company's mission and values resonate not only with you but also with your employees?
Okay. I think when I was working at my former workplace before I got into being an entrepreneur or, starting my own thing, I looked at LSM, my former workplace, as the company that was my vehicle to learn things. Something I said some time ago in one of the podcasts I appeared is to use your organization as a vehicle that drives you through to achieve your professional and career goals. Because you can't really go to a company and expect that company to give you everything, because the company has a separate set of goals, and the company is going to work towards those goals. It's about you understanding those goals, working towards it, and trying to gain as much as you can. So one thing that I always tell the people that I work with is look at your organization as an organization that gives you the foundation to achieve something of your own, for which you need to have your own goals. As long as that company can give you what you want to learn, gain, and understand to achieve those goals, you continue to work. And if that company doesn't give you that, then you have a conversation with that company and say, hey, you know what, I don't feel like I'm getting enough. Because at the end of the day, you're looking at satisfaction, you're looking at achieving, be it a financial goal, a professional goal, or one fine day your dream is to be your own boss or you to own your own company. You need that company to be the supporting arm, and it's about getting that through. So something that I always encourage at every work place that I work with is, even if it's agriculture, even if it's the person managing the whole property, is to say, hey, you know what, work with us, be with us, use this as a stepping stone for you to gain the knowledge. So one fine day you could earn something. But obviously there is this mental switch that needs to come into the place where they need to start believing that they can do it, which is something that you need to work towards. So that's something that we constantly encourage people working to understand that this is your own company. And in a way, I still remember when we were at Kotu Labs, one of the guys who was running the operations, I sort of sat down with him and I told him, hey, you know what, there is someone else that's invested in this business. You are asked to manage the operations. Look at it as if your own thing. Run it, learn it as your own thing. And in a way, you're not losing out anything, because you're not responsible for the funds that was put in. It's someone else's. Sometimes you feel like, I don't have any stake in this company, why am I doing all this? But if you move away from that thought process and think someone else has invested and I have an opportunity to learn as to how this operation works. One fine day when I start my own thing, it's free advice, or not advice, experience that I've gotten, for which nothing has costed, there hasn't been a cost to me. So something that I encourage is to say, look at your company as your own. Even if you don't have stake in that company, work that way when you have that mental switch, because that's what I did at my former workplace to a great extent, until we moved out from it. I worked with that mentality, because my former immediate boss, who I'm very grateful to where I am today, kept on encouraging that in me, to say, hey, look at this as your own, and then you learn, and you don't feel the financial burden. Anyone who's running a business would have that financial burden, but when you run as the one that's interested in learning the business and understanding the operation, you sort of get this free opportunity to work in that way. So those are two things that I've encouraged people in aligning our vision, because I don't expect a lot of people who join GP to be at GP. Something I constantly say is, if you haven't grown from where you are today, next year this time around, then you're at the wrong place. And don't think of being a GP forever. Something I tell people at GP, and I say the same thing when we were running Kotu Labs, and it's different workforce. I mean, there's a different group of people that work at a restaurant, at an agriculture sector, at a manufacturing sector, in the education sector, which is GP. But for all of them, it's the same theory. You need to understand that you have to grow, but use the organization. Don't think, okay, hey, you know what, I'm going to work in this company for the next 20-25 years. I mean, that doesn't mean everyone can be business people. I mean, I know that's not going to work, but you should be able to keep thinking, okay, 2 years from now, am I getting enough? Should I be getting more? Because within the company itself, there may be new opportunities, and you can encourage. I mean, if we take GP as an organization, when we started, we were in one sector, but we are slowly expanding, looking at new opportunities where within the company there is growth that comes in. So it's important. The word I'd say is individual entrepreneurship within the company itself encourages. That's something I am keen to establish within the places that I sort of work, manage, and talk to. And that's what I feel that works. I'm not too sure how it will work with Karagoda factories or with the conglomerate, but it's something that I feel works well. Yes.
Yeah, just to add something to that, I think there is an issue with the attitude of the younger generation as well. Because just to bring an example, a funny one. So I was one day I was walking around the factory. There was this new guy who has come to work, and like I said, most of them are women, and there was a male guy working, and I think he thought of me. He didn't know who I was, so he would have thought that I came from Colombo to site visit or something like that. He came up to me, this young guy just starting off, I think 1 week in his job, and he comes to me and asks, sir, would you be able to find me a job that pays more and with less work? So this is what he asked me. So within 1 week he was gone from the job as well, but I feel as if that's the attitude of the younger generation. I don't know whether in this industry you find that issue or not, but
I think it's also, it goes down to the fact that, and that's one of the reasons I feel like it's important to hear these sort of conversations that we're having to the younger generation. It's common across every industry. I don't see it different based on the job or the place you work at. Sometimes that mentality is such that, something I remember at one of my previous podcasts that I kept emphasizing on is, sometimes people want to get to the third step, but they don't understand that they have to first climb the first, then get to the second, and then go to the third. Because it's just a mental switch that, and I don't think it's only the younger generation. I feel like it's been the case for some time. It's just that the younger generation, the older generation, their thinking was different, that they were fine sticking with it. The younger generations they're quick to change.
But Denham, I think now these are two different extents, I think, like extreme ends, I think, because older generation, if you look at like our adults, they are stuck at places for like 25-30 years. They don't mind operation, they don't mind zero career development, they don't mind not getting, as long as the job is stable, they will stick to that. But so these two are, I think, two extreme ends. I think that is also not good. Like, that's very bad. Like, staying at a place even you're oppressed, that's very bad. And again, the generation now who, as you said, correctly said, do not want to go like climb the first and second step, but directly they want to reach third step. So I think I don't agree when you're saying that it has been the case for some time, because I haven't seen it in our generation, I would say, Denham. I haven't seen, I mean, not to be biased, but what I'm saying is I haven't seen. Even like, the new interns, apprentices, which we have, dealt with, we've seen the same thing. The effort is less, but the whatever they want in return is
So it may, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't argue with a lawyer. So I'm going to concede anyway. But in terms of what you're saying, what I meant is with the younger generation, they think like that and they've already made the decision to quit. With our sort of a generation, they don't quit, but they keep harping over it, which in return creates that negative image within the organization. And this is something that I saw with my former workplace, not all of them, but some of them. I saw it that it's how we look at it. So sometimes again it's first segment we spoke about awareness and being aware. Second segment is also important to have a strong mentality towards what you want to do, and then in order to do that, what I do is, I mean, when people joined GP or the restaurant or something, we gave them the understanding of what needs to happen, but we also told them, hey, you have a future in this. Maybe it's not within the education sector. It can be something else, and that's something we do where we sort of help people build up on their passions. I mean, we've had people who love doing candles, who wants to start their own home cook-based food industry. So we support in whatever way. But what I have understood, like I mentioned, for 8 years I was working in the education sector until I shifted into Kotu Labs and started getting that whole idea of, hey, you know what, there's more to the world that you could learn. And like she introduced, Jack of all trades came about when I was curious to know what the other stuff is. And you can't just know and run that, you have to get your hands into it. So what I agree. I mean, the current generation, they don't like it, they quit. They don't think ahead in my point. And that's not the right thing. It's sometimes you have to go talk to the person that you report to, say, hey, this is what I want to do. And the person, now this podcast is not only to the people who are working, even to people who are running operations, you have to have a more open mind to understand that with our generation, that age group, they may have not quit, but they continue to be there, whining about it.
Yeah, complaining.
Which, equally doesn't really serve the purpose.
Yeah.
Did I win the point right now?
No.
Still
no.
I think we'll let the audience decide that. Moving
yeah.
on, Shehan, this question is for you. The tea industry is steeped in tradition, but there's also room for innovation. How does your company culture encourage creative thinking and fresh approaches within your team?
Yeah, so I'm going to jump into my second job, which is Unitrades Private Limited, which is the export arm of things. It's a very small company with about 16 employees, out of which 5 of the most senior roles are played by people who have been in the business for over 33 years, right? So it works on a loyalty sort of a thing with my father. My father is my boss as well. So as soon as I joined in 2022, I have seen so many places where we could improve, right? But because of the fact that that old way of thinking and
traditional way of thinking.
Yes, traditional way of thinking and the resistant to change. I've struggled a little bit, doing or implementing the changes that I would want this company to go. So yeah, look, don't get me wrong. Loyalty plays a big role, right? I believe in loyalty and no problem with that. But it comes to a point where we need to find a balance of loyalty and then change efficiency as well. So yeah, that's how I would want to. There are a few things that I'm thinking about changing within the company, but slow and steady is the game, because I'm also new to the whole business as well. I can't be going and changing, disrupting the whole process, because we've been doing things a certain way and it has been working, right? So I don't want to, I'm not going to say that however what I'm trying to bring in is going to change and we are going to, but slow and steady we are trying to change things and get to where we want to be. There is potential, right? Huge potential if you see like the big exporters like Akbar Brothers, Dilma, all those big companies, they grew because they took that next step into, improving their systems, improving their processes and stuff. Whereas I find that, our company is stuck in one place, which will hopefully change. Yeah.
How was the switch between Australia and coming back and working?
Look, I haven't had a lot of corporate experience in Australia, but definitely the new adaptation to new technology, right? So when it comes to processes like an accounting software, I'm talking in accounting terms because I'm a finance guy. So whereas in Colombo, in my office, if we want to adapt a new software, I need to go to the accountant first, ask him whether he's comfortable with all the changes, and la-di-da, it goes back and forward for about good 3 months, nothing happens. Then when I actually bring a quotation from some person to my father, he was like, this is too much. Like those kind of things, I mean, it could be right as well, like, I'm not saying it's wrong, but those kind of hindrances there. Whereas I didn't find that type of how do you say, obstacles in the corporate life that I was in Australia. So yeah, that's the biggest change that I see.
I think in here from like for a long time, our minds are prepared to be tech averse, I think, because I think people don't trust technology in here. Like even you take my job, right? Now, very recently, I went to this session where this one of these speakers, he was saying how we can use ChatGPT or AI to draft contracts. So in a minute, I was thinking, what was he thinking? Because it's a very serious job. How are you going to get a AI, software to do that? But actually, I came back, okay, and I gave the proper prompts, and voila, there's a good agreement. And I was thinking, so my mind, even without trying, my mind was averse to tech. Like that's how my mind was prepared to since childhood. I think we have to change it. Of course, we are old, I think.
No, but I guess, I mean, you see, it's like you said, it's a mentality thing. Yes, ChatGPT helps, but you can't, still, there's opportunities. I mean, I remember 5-6 years ago when technology was getting developed, there was a lot of people saying, oh, now people are going to be out of jobs. But what people don't understand is with a threat of that nature comes an opportunity. There's something new that always comes up. There's something new. And I mean, if that's the case with the development of technology, people would be out of jobs. Many people would be out of jobs. I mean, it's just, there is that fear. Also, I feel like people don't like being challenged. Something that I tell our guys is, come challenge me. I want to be challenged. I mean, that's something even, business owners, they have this fear. Okay, I don't want, there's this agriculture instructor that we work with, who has this secret recipe or secret thing in terms of chemicals. He doesn't like sharing it. And in my mind, I'm racking my brain around thinking, are you going to take that to your grave? You might as well share that with someone and then be challenged to learn and do better. So it's with loyalty, that's I feel like the challenge is sometimes people have the fear, if I let go of this control, if I don't change, or if I allow this, will I be challenged? And it's sort of like, I mean, maybe I wouldn't understand it now because I'm not at that age, but how I personally see it is, if someone comes up with something new, it's about us saying, okay, there's something new, let me develop my skill. Because if you want just a bit of marketing here, if you want education and continuous education, we have companies like GEP that can give you continuous education. It's about developing the skills, and that's what's important, in my opinion, as far as I see. I know you were being a bit diplomatic in terms of your answer, in terms of changes.
I do have to continue my work.
But I have a question for you, because I've never had the experience of working with senior people I mean, none of my companies is beyond 5 years. So, I mean, eventually when I get that like to hear, do you have a foreseeable in the foreseeable future, do you have a plan in mind to get it changed? How do you how can you change it? What are the steps that you're thinking of taking into account?
Yeah, so there is no hard, because like I said, I'm also very new to the company, so I can't be making a lot of changes. So it's a process. I think I need to properly sit down, because I have a new director who's working with me as well, who's quite young as well, who has similar ideas. So I guess I need to sit down with him, have a chat with him on how to change, how a person who's there can be, trained to talk about all these changes. Not that I have not spoken to everybody, but a simple example would be furniture, office furniture, right? So the when I first went to the office, the furniture that were what you call old wooden tables, which was really heavy and bulky, right? And the files were, you couldn't see the person working on the desk because the files were all stacked on the table, right? So I was like, we can't even bring a client here, because nowadays, with the industry slowly picking up, people are coming to Sri Lanka, and we are getting more and more clients who want to come and see the tea fields and the manufacturing process on how things work. So I was like, let me go to a furniture shop, get a quotation, and slowly convince my father to buy the furniture. I can't go with say, look, we need to buy furniture. I can't say that. We had to come up with a solution as to, okay, why I am doing this, not because I want a new desk. We have a motive behind this, and it's like, look at it as a investment rather than an expense. So yeah, that's how I went about with that particular example. So others, I need to properly sit down and think. I haven't actually thought about it yet.
So I think it's at the end of the day a process, and also showing the end result, and taking responsibility to make sure that end result is met with what's happening. So that reaction people have for change, where there is that resistance. One thing, we've learned this when we're studying change management. Resistance to change is huge, but if you show them what's going to come out of it, and what's the end result, plus when one example is fulfilled in it being done, then there's that awareness to say, hey, this is something should be done. So I guess it's whether it's a 33-year-old service individual or a 5-year service individual, it's the same thing, I suppose. So that's what I was keen to understand. Thank you.
That was
Good luck
very
with getting the rest changed.
My next question is for you, Prasadi. Law can be a demanding field, but it also can be incredibly fulfilling. How does your company culture help your team members discover or develop their passions within the legal world?
So I'll talk about this in a more generic way. Okay. So if you wake up in the morning, and if you are filled with all traumatized ideas, I'm not talking about people who have difficulties in waking up in the morning. Okay. If you wake up in the morning and think, I don't want to go to this job today, I hate going to work, then you have to quit. Because doesn't matter whether you are doing a minimal work or hard work or whatever, you have to love what you do. You have to be passionate about what you do, right? So I started although I wanted to be a corporate woman, I started my work 5 years before at the conglomerate, my last job, as a baby in the field, right? I can remember it was intimidating when I entered the office. There were a lot of seniors, super intimidating, right? I sat in a corner like a rabbit, right? Opened my laptop and then started typing. I had nothing to type. I just, ran my fingers over the keyboard. But, okay, I thought I can do this, okay? And then after 2 weeks, it was like a floodgate open on my head. Work was coming in. I was overwhelmed because I don't know how to handle my work, right? I had the passion. Okay, I always had that passion. But if that overwhelming nature lasted for couple more weeks, my passion would have died, right? But thank God I had super nice supervisors, okay, whenever I needed help, there was someone to assist, okay. They never let my passion die, right? If I don't know something, I would just stand up and I would shout at someone like, come on, please, someone come and help me. They would bring me a book, read this and see whether this book can help you. So they nourished my passion, right? So our job can be really tough, right? But if you have the passion to do it, okay, you can do it. But again, if you are at a toxic environment, if the work culture is toxic, that passion can die. Because I know certain people who who started their jobs without a passion. Okay, they started their job thinking, okay, this is another corporate job. But with a good work culture, their passion developed. They didn't have a passion, but now they have a passion because of the good work culture. Some people, they start with passion, but passion dies because of toxic work culture. So I think even with a challenging job, of course, what we do is dealing with problems from morning to night, right? But if you have that passion, and if there are good people surrounding you who can nourish, who can assist you, who can make you feel comfortable, I think that passion won't die. So basically what I'm saying is a good work culture is important to have the passion, and the passion is important to do a proper job when you're at work.
Yeah, I think that's the importance of having a good mentor and a supervisor to see.
She refers to mentorship because that's something
okay.
interesting. we sort of brought in the whole mentorship program because, like you said, everyone needs to have someone that they can look up to, and that mentor also has to be someone that can take things up, and that's something we've sort of encouraged. But one of the things that I think it's important for people to little by little learn, I know a lot of companies do this, is to, like how HR became a huge thing within companies. Something that I personally felt was a need was to have a hired psychologist or a therapist, a proper person to be there for the staff to reach out to, because something that I felt was sometimes the efficiency of staff slows down when they have something that's troubling them. And that reflects in the work environment, like you said, toxic culture. And I've seen this with the previous organization I worked at. There were certain things that were toxic, that didn't go too well. So when you allow, like when you have an apple and when you have like a panua in the apple or a germ in that apple, that's gonna infest across. So when you have one bad apple
egg,
within the organization, then that sort of makes it bad. So it's important to fix those kind of things. And sometimes when you're running an organization, you don't have the time to hear, and you don't have the expertise skills to cater to it. So something that we've sort of implemented is, which is not something that's forced upon people, but is given as an opportunity. Hey, if you have something that you want to share, talk, get assistance with, we have this, go talk. And it's sort of to a great extent proven to be helpful to many, and it's something that we're hoping to continue to. So I guess that helps resolve this challenge, because that's something that's seen. So that encourages a happy work culture, and it sort of is aligned with the GEP index that we had, this HPP index, happiness, passion and purpose, is to help that happiness evolve. So I agree, mentorship is important, a non-toxic culture is important, and there's a lot of things that plays that role. But when you feel overwhelmed, and if you don't have the right person to talk to, something that we encourage, I think recently when I was having a conversation with the guys, I was like, communicate, talk. You can't, when you said I stand up and I say I can't do it, you have to be as bold as that. There's no point keeping things in your heart, because then you sometimes expect someone to look at someone. There's this nature where people think, okay, an owner of a business can look at someone and sort of picture what's going on. You can't. And even a mentor can't do it. I mean, you could have all these resources, but as someone that's having a challenge, if you don't open up and talk to the right person, the toxic nature comes through when you speak to the wrong person. There's no point sharing your plight with another fellow employee, because if that employee is similar to you, what can that person do? You're just gonna have another person talking about it, adding up to it. You might as well speak to the right place, which I'm pretty sure wherever you're working, if you've chosen the right organization, you're going to get that right support. But you can't expect people Like that's something I say as an entrepreneur. Don't expect me to understand what's inside you, because I can't. I can read as much as I can, but I mean, I'm not gonna come to work and read 20 faces and decide what's gonna happen or what's happening with you, because we've other stuff to do. But obviously, if we notice certain things, we can talk. But it's also equally important that you reach out to the right person. So that's something I feel, people need to understand importance of communication and sharing it. And in the current day and age, open communication is an important thing. And then when you said I stand up and I say I don't understand, and there's someone that comes and gives a book, because you opened up. I mean, if you sulked about it and not spoke about it, you wouldn't have had that passion. So that's also an important element.
And I think I can vouch for the good culture at GEP. Came from a different field and I was taught what to do, and I was mentored, very supportive and motivating environment. And with that, we come to the end of our second segment. In the next segment, we will discuss how companies can foster culture of growth and development where employees can continuously learn and advance their careers.
If you enjoyed that video, make sure to like and subscribe to the GEP YouTube channel. And we also have a bunch of very interesting practical short courses which are related to the episodes from the podcast. So stay tuned.